let's not fool ourselves. Early access is going nowhere. And that is a good thing.
Before I tell you why gamers and gaming studios alike should embrace the still rather new release model, if you enjoy my videos, please hit subscribe so you don't miss out on new ones. And I'm always looking for feedback, so feel free to leave me a comment.
Quick, think about the first early access game that comes to your mind. It's probably not one that used this tool properly.
One of the most famous dead bodies on the early access graveyard is probably Goddess by industry legend Peter Molyneux. $800,000 in Kickstarter funds later, and there is still no final product. Online survival horror game DayZ finally left the pre-release swamp after 5 full years. But that sadly doesn't mean people are happy now. The former Arma 2 mod is still riddled with issues, and the developers demand a pretty penny. So...
But not every early access ends badly. Just look at games like Minecraft or Mount & Blade. It gives developers and players the opportunity to create great things together.
A prime example would also be the small insider tip turned global hit Subnautica. The aquatic adventure hit early access back in 2014 and got to celebrate its full release 3 years later. It was in large parts funded by players, with the developers using most of their financial resources to launch the first version. And the trust was rewarded. Unknown Worlds Entertainment kept the development completely transparent, going so far as to even make their task charts publicly available. Slightly less known to the rank and file is the success story of charming indie title My Time at Portia. After spending a year in early access, the full game released a couple days ago. Throughout those months, it evolved into a colorful delight for fans of games like Stardew Valley, and truly earned the overwhelmingly positive feedback.
Early access is neither a guarantee for failure nor for success. It's a tool, and those need to be wielded well to earn results.
You wouldn't expect both a genius and a preschooler to solve a difficult equation just because you gave them the same calculator, would you? If you ask me, there are some studios that should have maybe taken a closer look at the early access tool. The ambitious space game No Man's Sky comes to mind. It made the mouth of many players water with anticipation, but turned out to be very different from what the spectacular trailers promised. Disappointed gamers flooded the internet with critique, and it took years for Hello Games to recover from the hits their reputation took. If the British studio would have gone the early access route, openly declaring all those months of dissonance after the botched launch a time of communication and improvement, a lot of heartbreak could have potentially been skipped.
You want a more recent example? Fallout 76. Bethesda actually said it again and again that they are kind of scared, because they're totally new to this PvP-centric MMO kind of game.
As it turns out, their fears were justified. The mere weeks between the first beta and the official release were far from enough time to fix all the issues. Bethesda games are notorious for their problems at release, but players still grapple with all kinds of bugs and glitches now, months later. The developers described their project in a way that made it seem like a classic early access case, wanting feedback and appealing to their players' patience with the glorious array of issues. Why not call it what it is and circumvent the backlash from people expecting a finished product?
Big companies still tend to shy away from fully committing to the early access model. Maybe because it still casts a rather negative light on them.
AAA studios are expected to deliver without outside help. Why do they let players pay to do the work that they should pay professional quality assurance people for? Do they have financial issues? The ability to fund ongoing development is, after all, one of the big reasons why indie companies decide upon this model.
I get it, there is a stigma attached to it. The term early access still leaves a bad taste in the mouth of many.
Why? Because the concept isn't always treated right by the involved parties. This release model allows us players to actively support the development of games we're interested in, which, come on, is a fantastic thing. It allows companies to get the feedback and funds necessary to release something that won't get shredded to pieces by players and press alike. Early access should never just be an additional source of income. But players can also not expect to basically pre-buy a finished game. This release model can have a bright future in the industry, but only if all parties accept and learn to live with both their duties and privileges. That's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. Hope your day's as good as gold. See you next time.